Hey there, folks. This is Paul coming to you from the car, talking about A Course in Miracles. So I talk about love. Do you really need to be loved? Jesus talks about how in heaven there are no needs. There's no lack, there's no deprivation, there's no not having. There's no sense of loss, there's no problems, there's nothing going wrong. Everything's perfect. So you need do nothing because you don't need to take any action in order to address a need, because you don't have any needs. You've been given everything by God. Everything's perfect. Then Jesus talks about how if you had not deprived yourself, you would not have any needs. And once you did deprive yourself, you went into the illusion of deprivation, in which you became needy, or a sense of lack. I think you talked about somewhere that you had the Garden of Eden was originally the state of need lack, where you had no needs and you lacked nothing. But then you go into this needy state based on a belief that you don't have everything. You are not love, you're lacking somehow, and this produced the whole world. And now we find ourselves in this needy place. And then he talks about how because of these needs, all behavior is based on needs. All behavior is an attempt to do something, that I need to go act, I need to behave, I need to take some kind of measures in order to address the need that I have. Like I need to go to the bathroom, I need to eat some food, I need to get some love, I need to watch some TV or whatever, I need to sleep, whatever. All these needs, all these false needs came about because of the body. The bodies are the device for behavior, and without a body you wouldn't have any behaviors, because you can't make the body behave a certain way if you don't have one. And the only reason to have behaviors is to have some needs. When there are no more needs, and that includes the need to help everybody else come to the atonement with you, when the purpose of the things that you need is no longer there, you don't need it anymore. And that's when the world of bodies is going to disappear, because then there is no need for it. You only needed bodies to try to act out your belief that you don't have everything. Body is a way of limiting you. So in reality, in truth, you don't have any real needs. There's no such thing as a real need. All needs are artificial. I don't really need to be eating these. But I think I do, because I think I'm lacking. So then what happens is, you who have been given everything by God, and there's nothing else that you could possibly ever need or want, if you deny that love, if you deny that you are love, that you have love, the love is in you, it's so full that you couldn't possibly receive any more, that there's not even room to put any extra love because you're so overflowing with it. If you deny that it's in you and that you have it and that you are it, you form barriers and blocks, and now you see yourself as lacking love. The love isn't in me. I am not love. I am not worthy. I don't have the love in myself. and not loving yourself in order to do that. So you have to literally attack yourself and can accuse yourself of sin in order to be unloving towards yourself, to take a person who is pure love, to try to cut them down and to turn them into something that isn't lovable and doesn't have love and shouldn't be loved. And then, because you don't acknowledge and recognize and accept the pre-existing love that God's put in you, that you are a host to God's love, all of God's love is in you and through you. Once you deny that it's already in you and that you're already perfectly lovable and being loved by God 100%, if you deny this and you block it and you believe that it's not true of you, you create these barriers and this unwillingness to love yourself. It's not that you're not loved. God can't switch off his love for you. He is permanently loving you. But you can deny it. You can pretend. You can believe otherwise. You can try to make up stories for why he shouldn't love you. You can have all this sense of unworthiness, these beliefs and stories about why God doesn't love you, but he does. It's nothing to do with whether you're actually loved. It's to do with you don't want to acknowledge, accept, or receive it. So you shut it out and you block it and you say, no, thank you, I don't want to be loved. I believe that I don't deserve it. I don't want to receive it. I want to hate myself, and therefore I don't want to let you love me. I want to carry on having unlove for myself. And once you're in this state, in the ego, believing that you'll do anything other than acknowledge the love that God has already put in you, you'll think, the love isn't in me, it can't be in me, I shall not have love in myself. Therefore, I am now lacking love, I am in need of love. So it's now you get this weird contradiction where the ego now says that it now wants to get love. It now needs to find some love. It needs to now search for love and seek for love with a passion. It really emphasizes how strongly you need to go hunting for love. But so long as it's everywhere except where the love is, so long as you're not looking inside yourself, so long as you're not looking at where God put the love, so long as you're not acknowledging that there's this great big huge love in you, that you're made of love, that you can't be anything except love, so long as you don't acknowledge that and you keep it hidden, the ego is very, very happy for you to go searching everywhere else, every single other possible place outside yourself, anywhere other than where the love can be found. And because the love is in you, and it's not really out there, separate from you, love is not separate from you, it's not to be found, because it isn't missing. As soon as you go on this journey of trying to find love, it isn't really a journey of trying to find love. It looks as though it is, feels as though it is, but it's actually a journey of going away from love. And the more that you seek for it, and the more you try to go find it somewhere where it's not, the more you will feel that you don't have it, because you're not acknowledging that you have it. At some point, in order for this quest for love to actually succeed, you have to stop questing for love and acknowledge that you have found it, and that it is in you, and you have received it, and it's what you are, and recognize it and accept it. Otherwise, it's like only seeking, not really intending to find, not really intending to ever get to a point where you can stop seeking and where you can be done and you can say, oh, now I have the love. I don't need to seek for love anymore because I have it. But to be able to get to that, you have to undo all of the reasons why you need to seek in the first place. So even the search for love is actually denying that you have the love already. And all that you ever really need to do, therefore, is uncover the love that God has already established, acknowledge that the love is already in you, accept that you are perfectly worthy of love already. God is loving you fully, and you therefore don't need love. It's not that and you got to be careful there, because it doesn't mean you can live without love. That's death. You can't live without love, and you can't live without God. You do need the love in the sense that if you don't have it, you will be needy and you will lack love and you'll suffer. But once you have the love that you need, you don't need it anymore. You have it. There's now a difference between having and trying to get it. So once you have the love, you no longer are seeking the love. You're no longer in a state of lack. You no longer have this craving, this urging to go find it. So it's the neediness that's the problem. And once you go into that neediness, you will start to perceive that love is missing, love is lacking, and you don't want to acknowledge it in yourself. So you don't love yourself, and now you're going and trying to find another source of love from another person or objects or animals or whatever, and under the belief that they've stolen the love from you. This is part of the laws of chaos, that you believe that this love yourself that you had, that you've lost touch with, has been stolen by your brother, and he has this special something trapped in his body behind the wall of separation that is trying to protect it from you. And now you want to steal it back because you think, if I could get back what's in my brother, which is your love, yourself, then you will recover the love that you've lost. But that then becomes murderous, because now you actually want to take it away from that person in order to receive it, in ego terms, for them to do something to you against your will. Even if it's love coming from another person, it essentially is a form of victimhood if you need to get it from them, because you really shouldn't need to be loved by anyone. You shouldn't be in a position where you're lacking love and now you're trying to depend on other people for that supply of love. By denying it in yourself, you now get into a position of, I need some love, I have a lack and I need to fulfill the lack, and I feel compelled because it feels shitty. And now you go try to find love outside yourself, and it won't be the love of God. It will be a substitute, because part of you saying, I don't want God's love, I don't want real love, I don't want unconditional love that's in me. I've blocked that. So now I've made love limited, and I've made love special, and I've made it stripped down and reduced, and I now seem to want a reduced love, a special love, and now I try to go get that special love from other people. And now you feel that you are dependent on somebody else to supply you with what you need. You are now codependent, because now you're going into this mode of self-denial where you won't let yourself receive love, putting the responsibility for loving onto somebody else. I'm not going to love myself, you're going to have to do it for me. And expecting them to now fulfill a role where they're supposed to love you, and they're now going to be the one who supplies all your needs and completes you and makes you be loved, forces you to be loved, somehow that they can cause you and that they have power over you to now do love to you. Make love to me, so that you will be affected by them, which is a form of attack. So now even your desire to be loved by someone is a desire to be attacked by them in a loving way. That you now prefer the illusion of love, the illusion of positivity, the illusion of whatever form it takes, that seems like something you want. But it's a question of, is that what you really, really want deep down? Do you really want this dynamic of relying on somebody else to supply love, instead of you accepting and acknowledging that you're so full with God's love that you don't need a single piece of love from anyone? That you're so acknowledging that you are filled with love and that you are love, and you couldn't possibly have any need to get any more love. Do you want that, or do you want to be in a situation where you're like addicted to and hungry for and empty, so that it compels you to want to get and take, to be satisfied by someone? Because that then is special love. Special love is a dependency and a displacing of responsibility onto somebody else based in sin and attack, requiring them to do something to you against your will that you don't really want, that you say you want, to take away from them what you think they've stolen so that you can kill them. And holy relationship is where you are so complete in and of yourself, you're whole, you're holy. You don't need anything. You don't need a person. You don't need other people to come along and constantly be trying to pick you up. You don't need reminders. You don't need people propping you up. You don't need other people to give you what you think you lack, because you acknowledge that you are full and complete and whole and strong and powerful and fearless and masterful and loving, and that you're completely acknowledging the fact that God has already given you 6 billion times more love than you ever could need. So as a whole person, you are somebody who fully acknowledges the love that's in themselves that God put there, and therefore is fully loving themselves and does not perceive themselves as deprived and lacking or in need of getting anything or doing anything to get anything. And so that person isn't needy, and that person doesn't have requirements, and they don't need to manipulate or control. They're not dependent and reliant on somebody else to give them what they're supposed to have already. So as you become lacking in abundance, you start shifting all responsibility for that love onto someone else. You start trying to coerce them and into, against their free will, into giving you what you want. And then when they don't give you what you want, you get really pissed off because now you're finding that you have this big neediness. You've allotted this person, whether it's a parent or a child or a lover or a friend or whatever, that they're supposed to love you and they're supposed to fulfill some kind of role that you've put on their shoulders that they are not really responsible for. I need you to be my mother. I need you to be my father. You're supposed to do this for me. You're supposed to love me. You're supposed to support me. Why aren't you doing it? Is all based in neediness, insecurity, and is really a form of accusation that your brother is sinful for not loving you properly. You're then denying yourself. Now you get into this codependent scenario where it's almost like you disappear. You are denying yourself so much love through your belief that you're unworthy, and becoming so dependent. It's like a dependent, needy child that hasn't grown up, that it suppresses you. And now you start feeling that you're not being heard. The other person is not acknowledging your feelings. You're not allowed to express feelings. You're not allowed to assert yourself. You're inferior. You have a sense of unlovability and unworthiness. This all comes from this codependency, this denial of your loving self that shuts you down and puts you below other people, puts them above you as idols to worship. I must worship my parents and I must get their permission and their approval. And then you have this constant need to seek their approval and their pride, and you want them to be proud of you and all this bullshit, trying to get their something that you think you don't have if they wouldn't do that. That somehow you're incomplete and you're not good enough if they don't approve of you. That's bullshit, ego shit. So, especially if they decide not to do that, and if they decide not to love you and not approve of you, and no matter how perfect you become, they still don't do it. No matter how good your grades are, no matter what you achieve, no matter how successful, if they are not capable of loving, they are not going to love you. And if you are now dependent on them doing so, and they fail to do so, your gaping hole of self-unlove, self-hatred, is going to come gushing out because it doesn't have a seeming way to be resolved. You don't have a person to sort of fix it for you. You don't have somebody to patch it up or to try to cover it up. So now you're like left hanging with this unlove and no mechanism to hide it and suppress it. So out comes the special hate, and now you hate the person because they don't love you enough. And how dare they not love you, and why aren't they fulfilling this expectation that you're putting on them? And all children are like this. And a lot of adults who are supposed to be adults are still children. And a lot of us are still having codependent relationships with parents and children. And having all these special love dynamics and being underneath the parent's thumb and never being good enough for them and feeling this constant drive for approval and trying to please them. And it's all dysfunctional because you are supposed to be acknowledging your perfection, your completeness, your wholeness, your lovability, that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not lacking anything. You're absolutely amazing as God created you, and so there's nothing to accomplish. You don't need anybody's approval. You don't need to get anything from anyone. You don't need these people to love you in order to be the love that you are. So when you have a special relationship with somebody and they start withdrawing love, or what you think is love, special attention, special exclusivity, special love, idol worship, out comes the special hate, the irreconcilable wound of your self-denial, and that gets projected onto them, and now you have arguments and fights and crap because you're being needy, you're wanting them to do something and they're not doing it. So a lot of relationships, most relationships are based in this specialness, this fundamental sense that I'm not loving myself enough, I'm not whole enough in and of myself, I'm incomplete, I need you to complete me, and then going off and trying to hire people to play the roles and fulfill the functions of being the ones who are responsible for causing you to be loved, or causing you to temporarily forget about your self-hate. But even if somebody could love you, and even if they are loving you 100% unconditionally, if you don't love yourself, you will not allow that love to penetrate your barriers and touch you. You won't receive it. You won't let yourself accept that it's true of you. You can have very, very loving people surrounding you and believe that you're not being loved. You can be surrounded by and immersed in God, which you are, believing that God isn't loving you, God shouldn't love you, when he can't even love you more than he is, because it's so maximal. All expressions of love are maximal. So it's really our own issue of, do I want to acknowledge and accept and get to where I'm allowing that I actually am love, I have been loved, I've always loved, I'm safe in love, I'm not lacking anything, I don't need anything. Because then if you already have it, you don't need it. If you now can recognize in yourself and allow it to be true of you, I am filled with love, I receive God's love, I extend God's love, I am lovable, I am perfectly worthy, God finds me worthy, and accept that and receive it, you're kind of done with all doing. You no longer need to go and get and make happen. There's no more seeking. There's no more being driven by needs. And then you're at peace. Because now you are sinking into the love that's already there, allowing yourself to receive love from God, acknowledging it, being aware of it, removing these made-up beliefs and blocks that say the love isn't there. Take away the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, so that the presence of love, which is already there, returns to your awareness, and you're like, oh, I guess the love is there after all, I was just hiding from it. It's already in me. God has already put it there. Oh, look, I'm made of love. I can't be anything else. Therefore, I can't in any way be lacking anything. I'm not deprived, therefore I am fulfilled. I'm satisfied. I don't need any more. Don't need to get from anybody. So then you shouldn't need to be loved by anyone. Love can be shared by two holy brothers in a holy relationship, but me giving you love isn't really me handing over something that you don't have. You already have the love in you. So for me to give you love or to love you really should mean we're just sharing in the same love that we both have already. This is why love can be shared. Love is sharing, it's joining, it's oneness. The recognition that we both already have it fully, and we share all of it equally. I'm not deprived of what you have. You're not deprived of what I have. I can't give you the love that you are because God has already put it there. He's already given you the love. So how could I give you love that you don't have? In truth, I could, however, as a miracle worker, extend God's love to somebody who believes that they don't have the love because they've blocked the love in themselves. Jesus talks about this, how the light in one mind can now shine into another mind. Because if you block the love in you and you don't accept it's there, you don't acknowledge that the love is already there and your blocks are the problem, I could shine my love into your mind to remind you of the truth and to reveal in the light the love that's already present in you that is now acknowledged, and this will dissolve the barriers in your own mind against your own love, allowing you to remember who you are, that you already have the love, you already are the love, you don't need to get it from me. So my love doesn't really so much heal you as that it just is a reminder, a way to shine a light so that you can remember the truth about yourself that God has already put there, and therefore that I do not establish. You can't put into someone what God has already put there. Everyone already has the love, so we just need to help each other to remember, to uncover it, to remove these blockages so that we can see and be aware and accept the atonement truth that we're already perfect, we're already love, we're already worthy of God's love, we're already being loved. Just need to accept it, and then I will have no needs. I won't have to get it from anywhere, and I'll be whole within myself, holy. I can now share it and offer it to increase it. But all love is of God, and denial of God denies love, denial of yourself denies love. So the solution is not to deny yourself, not to deny God, and to own up to the love, be responsible for being the love, and then you won't be asking other people to take that responsibility for you. And then you become, in a sense, independent instead of codependent or dependent in any way, and now you're dependent on God for your love, which is the correct, because God has put the love in you that is His love. The love that you have depends on Him doing that, and He's already done it and it's finished. So you're not lacking anything, you just think you are. I think I'm going to stop there. Hope that this is helpful, and so instead of seeking, acknowledge. Look underneath the surface. Look behind your blockages. Remember who you are. Rediscover what God has put in you already. You already have the love in you. It's just hiding. Gotta let it shine. Shine. See you next time. Love you. Bye-bye.